So welcome to another podcast in the series Builders of Bhutan. Who are the people who helped the third king, the fourth king, in the building of today's Bhutan over the last 5 decades? And I'm very pleased that today we're able to talk to Lyonpo Dago Tshering, a most distinguished builder of Bhutan, who has had so many important jobs it's quite difficult to remember them all. And we're here in Lyonpo Dago's wonderful garden overlooking Simtoko Dzong here. And Lyonpo, thank you so much for giving time, but can we begin by asking a little bit about what was life like when you were a child? Where did you grow up? What was Bhutan like as a small boy?
Well, I was born in Paro. It's a place called Chon Namka.
Right.
It's not too far away from Parozong. And in those days, it was very quiet, peaceful, and only agricultural activities used to take place. I still remember that our assistants, the people who used to come, they used to go every morning to the field, every evening returning home, and my parents trying to serve them with evening meal.
Right.
And that used to be part of the game. And I remember that every winter, the servants used to go and collect dry wood and keep it collected and stack it at home.
Right.
So that the whole year there's no shortage of fuel.
Firewood. There was no electric heaters in those days.
There's no electric heater, and also for cooking.
Right.
Also for cooking. So they used to collect a lot of firewoods, and these used to be the part of the scene of my childhood. Yes, my grandfather was in the Dunyip,
Yes.
in charge of the southern portion of Princeling, beginning from Ha side.
Right.
Ha side. He used to be in charge of that particular area. Then I think my father took over from me for some time.
Right.
And my grandfather also used to represent Paro in Tibet.
In Tibet?
In Tibet for trades.
Right.
For trading. So my father used to go to Phari, across the border, and to Lhasa quite often in those days. So those were the memories of the childhood. And until I went to school, when they formally opened a school in Paro, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the first batch of students.
So is that school still there today, Lyonpo?
Yes, still these schools are still there.
Right.
You know where we started? Ugenperi guest house, that
yes.
long
really?
house
So that's
there.
where the school was?
That's where the first school was.
Right.
And we studied there, and that used to be, there were a number of rooms, and there were 2 rooms, 4 rooms, and 2 rooms used to be our bedroom, and the larger room used to be our classrooms.
And the teacher, Bhutanese or from
Yes.
India? Oh.
My teacher was, believe it or not, is Lyonpo's father.
Really?
He was one of the teachers, and there's another little Sharap. He's from Ha.
Right.
The 2 of them, they taught us in the Paro, Ugenperi, until flood came in and threatened us.
Yes.
So we had to move out.
Right.
They thought it was not safe to keep us there.
Yes.
And we moved to where we moved to. First we moved to Parozong. Then Parozong we stayed there for about a month. And from there to Parodeka, where they used to have the Chichu.
Right.
That big building
yes,
there.
the big building there.
Yes,
Right.
and that continued to be our school, and it's still standing.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
that used to be our classroom as
Right.
well as our
And I
boarding
mean,
school.
in those days, Limpo, there were no mobile phones.
No
There were
mobile-
no telephones.
No
There were
telephone.
no roads. There were no aeroplanes.
No.
There was no television.
Not at all. What telephone? What television? There was no radio. Even.
No radio even, yes, yes, yes. So one of the biggest changes Limpo will have seen in the last 5 decades has been communications.
Absolutely.
Now, we're talking and our conversation will go out to the United States, to Australia.
Everywhere,
around the
yes,
world.
yes. Wherever there is a network,
Yes.
it will reach there.
Right. And so,
If you let them use it.
yes. And so, which classes did you study in Paro?
In Paro, I was there until 1955.
Right.
1955. And 55, there were some scholarships apparently
Right.
offered by the government of India.
Right.
So we all there are a number of us were selected, and we were taken to Ha.
Right.
We stayed there in preparation, but basically I didn't see much of a preparation. We were kept there, we were given some special English classes,
Right.
and in 55, after three months, we moved to India through Nathula.
To Natula.
Through Nathula.
Oh, through Natula,
Through
walking.
Nathula, yes.
Walking.
To Chumo, to Nathula, and to Gangtok.
Right.
And I still remember the political officer guiding us to the Chogel's palace.
Right.
And we had a dinner there at the Chogel's palace. And I remember a few years back when I was in Delhi, I went to revisit the palace. It's pretty much the same and
Indeed.
cozy and comfortable.
Yes.
Yes, and from there we went to Kalimpong, and I studied Kalimpong and studied there for 2 years.
In which school in Kalimpong?
Komodini Homes.
Dr. Graham's.
No,
No, and different.
Komodini Homes.
Right. Right.
I was in Komodini Homes,
Right.
and from there we were sent to Darjeeling,
Right.
St. Robert's, Father Mackey,
Father Mackey, yes,
Yeah.
of course, yes.
and we were there with Father Mackey.
So you knew Father Mackey before he came to
Oh,
Bhutan?
yes, he was our principal.
Right.
And, yes.
Right.
And we were very familiar with Father Mackey. And there was another Father Roberts. Father Roberts.
Right.
Yes. And, well, we were there till St. Roberts till 1959. 1958, 1958.
58.
Then we passed out from the school, graduated from the school, and we again were gained some scholarships from India, and we were selected for going to India. And they asked us, where you want to go to? The Mumbai was very much popular because of the film stars and
right.
Bollywood.
Dear.
And I said, well, I want to go to Mumbai, Bombay.
Bombay, yes.
So I said, well, you have it. They said, you have it. And there were 3 of us. Now, unfortunately, 2 of my classmates, schoolmates have gone, Toshi Pema Onshuk and
right.
Major Kinle.
Right.
Both of them are gone and left. And we were there till we passed out of the college.
Right.
And we passed out of the college, and then in 1961, when we about to pass out of the college, then we received a letter from the Prime Minister's office saying that report to Paro. Report to Paro.
Right. And the Prime Minister then would have been Jigme Dorji.
Jigme Dorji, yes, late Jigme Dorji. And we finished our college and we came. And well, we said, okay, where are we going to work? I said, we are going to work in Paro, I suppose. He said, no, we may be working in Kalimpong or in Kolkata. Kolkata, right. There is a Bhutan, office.
Office, yes.
And Kalimpong also has a Bhutan office. So they said, maybe we may be working in Kalimpong or Kolkata. So sure enough, two of them straight away went to Paro. I stayed in Kolkata for some time.
Right.
Then from there I came to, they said, no, now you have to go and join the ministry, the development wing in those days called.
Wing?
Development.
Right.
Yeah, all the development planning used to take place in Paro and development wing. And I went there, and this was 1961 when the first development wing was launched. Right. Development program was launched.
Because that's when the 5-year development program
Yes, the first
started.
5-year plan was launched with the assistance of the government of India. And I still remember 17 crores of support from the government of India. Wow!
Yes.
I said, can you utilize it?
Now we put that in contrast with the amount that the government of India is supporting the new 5-year plan with.
Yes. Absolutely, yes. And I joined the development wing and to make use of that 17 crores
right.
of assistance from the government of India. And we had education department.
Education department was late Lyonpo Dago Tshering, was it? Or?
Yeah, later he came.
He became director of education.
He came much later.
Oh,
he was in Kalimpong.
Right.
And we had a Indian looking after education.
Right.
And then we had agriculture. There was an agriculture man called Sardarji, very nice Sardarji. And we had animal husbandry and transport.
Right.
And then we have industries, cottage industries. Then we had the Bhutan engineering services.
Right.
The road was being built from Phinsuling.
From Phinsuling up there,
yes,
that's right. Yes,
from Phinsuling.
Yes.
The motorable road was being built. I think it started probably towards 1959 side.
Right.
After Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's visit in 58.
That's right. Yes.
59 side. So in 61, by 61, road has almost reached to Thimphu.
Right.
It has almost reached to Thimphu. And where were the workforce from? All Bhutans from the villages.
That's right.
Each village has to contribute.
Yes. What was the name for that compulsory labour contribution?
Yeah,
there was a name.
It's called Dugdom.
Right.
Chunyidom.
Yes.
And
that was a way of
12 of them used to get together, send one person.
That's right.
6 of them used to get together, 6 households, and send one person.
And that was the way of paying tax.
Yes.
I mean, today we pay tax in money.
Absolutely. And
which comes from our work.
Yes.
In those days, you actually gave the work.
Absolutely, yes. And they had to contribute. And to all the road constructions and the zone constructions and anything that government wanted, and instead of paying,
Yes,
in
so
cash.
it is important, isn't it, Lyonpo, that people realise that the early infrastructure of Bhutan was not built with money from outside. It was built from the labour of the Bhutanese people.
Yes, hard labor of the
That's
Bhutanese
right.
people. Yes, the zong, the monasteries,
Right.
bridges that we see today, the old bridges. Simtaha Zong here.
Yes.
Simtaha Zong here, one of the earliest zongs built in, in the
16 something.
16th century,
Yes.
16th. Well, it was built in the 17th century,
Yes.
1660 or 1616 side. Yeah.
And
so those,
it was the work of the Bhutanese people who built the early infrastructure of Bhutan. It wasn't foreign aid, but the hard labor of the ordinary Bhutanese.
absolutely, absolutely.
And so, Lyonpo, then, if I recall, you went on to university in Bombay, in Mumbai.
Yes. I went to Mumbai, and from there I finished, and then came to
Development.
Came to development wing.
Right, right.
Yes, Elphinstone College.
Right.
Yes,
And
Mumbai.
those early years of development, the first 5-year development plan, for example, who wrote that? Who was the sort of originator of that first plan?
Basically, I think it is the third king.
Third king. Right.
Third king. He wanted to reach out to the people.
Right.
Now, as I remember, he wanted to reach out to the people and find out what do they need most. And most of them are engaged in agriculture activities. So he said, okay, we will have agriculture department to promote it and to help them. And the second, animal husbandry, because everybody kept animals, husbandry.
Yes.
Everybody had some cow,
Yes.
this or that. And in the south, they used to have goats. And in Bomthang area, they have sheep breeding. Then up there in the mountain, the yak breeding. So I say, we'll have animal husbandry. We must help the people reach out to. That's what he said. We must reach out to the people. And the other thing, he said, we have to have infrastructure. We have to have roads.
Roads.
Roads, yes. We must build roads. So the road was built with the assistance of, with the 17 crores of
Yes,
Government of India
course, yes.
assistance. And by 1961, we had the vehicle reaching to Thimphu. And I remember going by a jeep. I was allotted a jeep because I was looking after transport, animal husbandry, agriculture.
Right.
I was looking, of course, there were other specialists looking after it.
So
But
you must have had one of the first jeeps.
Oh, yes. I had one of the jeeps allotted to me. And, we drove the jeeps and to Thimphu. And road was still not tarmac, and it was still rough road. But it was good, and we all enjoyed driving too.
Yes.
Penciling or...
I've been told a story which I'm sure is apocryphal and is a fairy story, that when the first jeep went to one of the villages and parked, the local people came along with bales of straw to feed it. But I think that's just a story. But there is no doubt, isn't there, that the first vehicles that appeared in Bhutan were matters of great interest to all the locals and all the local children.
Yes, absolutely. Then the number of students started growing.
Right.
The education side, they started encouraging. Not only encouraging, they used to go to the villages to pay their parents and send them to the school.
Right.
We used to encourage them.
So the government paid the parents to send the child to school. Now it's the other way round, isn't it?
Yeah.
The parents are
to
paid.
Encourage them.
Right.
And we in the agriculture, we used to send all the seeds and seedlings of the fruits to the villages. We used to go there and plant it there, so that when it flowers, they enjoy it, fruits, then they will grow more. Hopefully. That was, surely they did. Yeah.
So after time in the development wing, you then moved.
Yeah, after I was still in the development wing, and 1964 I was in IAS. I was sent to IAS in India.
IAS.
Indian Administrative Service.
Right.
And Indian Foreign Service.
Right.
So I did that training
for
1 year. in 1964. So I still have my batchmates of 1964,
Right.
although now it's becoming rather thin.
Yeah.
Our batchmates.
Yes.
Well, I enjoyed going there. Then in 64, 65, I went to the Colombo plant. Colombo plant. And 65 was the first Colombo plant we went
Right.
in London.
Right.
Yes. And when I went there, when the meeting was over, I was told to go to Barbara Castle.
My goodness.
Barbara Castle.
Yes,
You remember
I remember
Barbara Castle?
Barbara Castle. In fact, her niece
Yes.
I taught as a girl, as a schoolgirl, and she visited Bhutan on
Yeah.
a holiday.
Oh.
So what a pity I didn't.
She was
Yes.
Minister of Development
That's right.
in those days.
Yes. Yes.
So our delegation, maybe Ajitashi, I was sent there with a letter. So she said, "Oh, you are the one who's going to come here." He said, I gave the letter to her, and then there was a small present. I gave it to her.
Yeah.
"Oh, we'll be very happy to have you here," she said. That surprised me most. I didn't even know what it is all about.
All about, yes.
Ajitashi didn't tell me
Right.
anything. She didn't brief me at all. That she recommended me to come to
Right.
London for studies. So sure enough, then I got the letter.
And that's when you came to study in England.
In England,
as
yes, Manchester.
The very first Bhutanese ever to study in the United Kingdom,
Absolutely.
which is a matter of great importance,
Yes.
given the hundreds of years of connection between the United Kingdom and Bhutan. So you were the very first
Yes.
Bhutanese student
Yes.
in Manchester.
In Manchester. Oh, I stayed there one year, and believe it or not, I received we had to write our thesis,
Right.
and usually, well, probably we are connected to Manchester University or something. Who gave us the certificate? Who signed the certificate? Successor of Barbara Castle.
Right. Right. Yes.
The
So-
minister, I said, how come? It's not by the university, but it's
By the minister.
certified by the minister.
Which is unusual, actually. Isn't it? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. But it must have been the minister in charge of international development or something.
I think so. So those were
Right.
the days when we interviewed two ladies
Yes.
and Michael Harris
Right.
in London to come to Bhutan.
Right.
One of the ladies are
So
still
that was when.
still here.
So that's how Michael Harris came
yes.
here. Well.
And there was another lady. She stayed here one year.
Right.
Then she left. She left and gone to. She said she's going to Africa. She's posted there somewhere.
And was she a British government official or a
She- she
university
was-
person?
Well, I think basically she was paid by the British
British.
government and some kind of allowances,
Mhm.
British government. And we interviewed them. Then Pemsiri's wife was her name now, and her sister came. Her sister has gone back.
Right.
She still is here.
Yes. Well. So, after Manchester, what happened to you then?
After Manchester,
And this is now the mid-60s we're talking about.
yeah, after Manchester, then I had to go to. I stayed with the Ministry Development Wing. Then I was posted to His Majesty's office
Right.
in Dago Tshering
And this is
to
now
work
Third King's office.
with my father-in-law,
Right.
the late father-in-law, my wife's father.
Right.
He was the chief secretary. No?
So, what was his name?
He's Tille.
Didn't you right?
Tille.
So,
He was the first chief secretary,
Right.
Tille. And he was the first speaker of the National Assembly.
which had only just been founded.
Yes.
The National Assembly was started by K3 in the 50s.
53. 53 in Punakha. They started
Right.
in Punakha. And then I became a member of the, I was nominated as a member of the National Assembly.
Right.
Believe it or not, I was in somewhere, Taba. I was staying at Taba. One evening, one of His Majesty's assistants came with a red kapna. With a red kapna. So he came in, says, His Majesty has sent it for you, and tomorrow morning you have to wear this and go to the office.
So you, lo and behold, became a Red Scarf officer.
So then I became a red scarf officer,
Right.
and there was no ceremony. I had to just wear
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I said, I didn't dream that last night. How?
But then, I suppose, in those days, Bhutan was a very interesting mixture of formality but informality.
Absolutely.
Now we've become very structured and
that's
institutionalized.
a big surprise for me. And all the person who became Red Scarf, they received it like that also.
Right, just
Yes.
Delivered late one evening
Yes,
to the house.
one evening it comes, and tomorrow, next morning you wear the red scarf and go to the office.
Lovely. Yes. And so in development wing still, and then after that, when did you go to New York?
Well, then I was working with His Majesty.
But also, Lyonpo, with respect, you were in India as well. Sorry, you must put me in the correct time sequence of everything.
No, after London, I worked at His Majesty's office.
Right.
I was nominated as a member of the National Assembly and also National Council. So I worked at the National Assembly as well as in the National Council. And then came 1970. His Majesty said, you have to go to Delhi to establish our
first embassy.
Our embassy there.
So you established the first Bhutan embassy to India.
In India. So I had to go there in 71. I went there, it was end of 70, and 71 formally I went there and started looking for houses for our office, as well as for our residence.
Right.
And then I was there for 2 years. 2 years, and during that period, His Majesty sent the drawing of the embassy.
Right.
He himself helped
designed
it, sent it. So they started building that office in Delhi.
And it is very distinctive and very Bhutanese, isn't it?
That was designed by His Majesty, third King. And from there, in 1971, it was end of 71, I received from Lyonpo Dago a letter. I have to accompany His Royal Highness, the Prince Namgyel Wangchuck, the Power Penlop, to the United Nations.
For the joining?
Yes, to join the United Nations. So I was part of the delegation.
Right.
I went with His Royal Highness, and Lyonpo Dago was there to become the first delegation to join the United Nations, and Bhutan became a member of the United Nations in 1970.
Which I
October
always
1971
feel is the most significant moment in the whole history of Bhutan.
Absolutely.
Because I can recall even in 1971, Lyonpo, when I came here, there was no Indian ambassador. He was called the Special Officer of India in Bhutan.
Yes.
Because India didn't really see Bhutan as a sovereign country. And joining the UN in 71 absolutely cemented Bhutan's position as a totally sovereign country. Yes. And that to me,
And to reach
is
to that
the most...
stage, it was not easy.
Yeah, indeed.
His Majesty, I don't know
Yeah.
whether you have read or heard, His Majesty the Third King worked very hard,
Very hard.
negotiated with the government of India, and particularly with later with
Mrs. Gandhi.
Mrs. Gandhi.
Yeah, that's right.
And at some stage he was so upset he walked out.
Right.
He walked out of the
Yes.
discussion. He
Right.
walked to and again they have mended.
But I think the great triumph of the Third King was making Pandit Nehru and Indira Gandhi feel they could trust him.
Yes.
And
yes.
it required that enormous trust
Yes.
for them to say, we'll support Bhutan's entry to
Yeah,
the UN.
Absolutely.
And I think that was a great
Yeah.
triumph.
And before we went to the UN that year, Mrs. Gandhi called, there was some delegation, I think it was the, not the American, there was a delegation, head of the state, and we all had to line up to receive the and Mrs. Gandhi came and she said, "Oh, Mr. Bhutan, I want to talk to you." So I came out and said, "I'm going to present a helicopter for His Majesty. Please let him know. I'm going to send the helicopter." She didn't explain anything. So I sent a message to His Majesty that Mrs. Gandhi said that to me, and he called me here. Why is she giving me this?
Indeed.
Why is she giving me this? He said, why is she giving me this?
I think today, many, especially younger people in Bhutan, do not realize what a very challenging and difficult issue it was in the late 60s and early 70s, negotiating this
Absolutely.
with India.
Yes.
It was a triumph of Bhutanese
Yeah.
diplomacy.
Yeah.
And, we have that triumph to thank for the fact that we're still the Kingdom of Bhutan.
Yes.
And so your role in that was a pretty important
Well, I
thing
think
to be
we
involved in.
are just communicating to the headquarters, and that's it. That's our role.
Yes, but it's how you communicate and what you communicate.
Yeah.
And then, so after that, to the United Nations in...
Yes, 61.
Yes.
We went there. Then we became a member of the UN.
Right,
Then I was in Delhi, and His Majesty, unfortunately, was not keeping too well.
well, that's right.
And I accompanied him to Mumbai. Then we wanted to take him to England,
Right,
but for some reason he kept on delaying. He said, from Mumbai, he said, "No, I'll go to Nairobi.
right.
I'll go to
The
Nairobi."
weather is better, Lyonpo, in
Yeah,
Kenya.
no, he also enjoyed going to safari and things
Right.
like this. I'll go to Nairobi. So after a fortnight or so, he left. But unfortunately,
then
he
that-
couldn't return
yes.
from there. No? Yeah.
So you were in Delhi at that time?
I was in Delhi. And from Delhi, then of course 1964, the fourth king ascended to the throne.
Right.
And I was sent to New York. I was sent to New York to assist late Lyonpo Sangye Penjor.
Oh,
He
yes,
was the
yes.
first
Right.
ambassador and permanent representative
That's right.
to the United
Okay.
Nations.
Yes.
So he said, yes, I went to the UN, but it's a challenging, task in such a huge delegation and so many of them,
That's
so
right.
many senior intellectuals. So, but anyway, I said, well, I'll learn something. I'll learn something and experience something.
Yes.
I went there to help Lyonpo Sangye. Lyonpo Sangye left. Then I became the ambassador.
Right.
Lyonpo Sangye from there.
So
he
you were
went to
the
Delhi.
second permanent representative
Yes.
to the UN.
Yes, and Lyonpo Sangye went to Delhi as the ambassador. So I stayed there from 1973 to 88, 89.
So quite a long time you were
to
in.
80.
Yes.
Yeah, to 80.
So I have to ask, did Lyonpo develop an American accent?
No, I acquired a little bit of accent of the UN. I tried.
Yes.
I tried to follow everybody
Right.
and see what they are trying to do and what we need to do and how we can be friendly with them and help each. Not so much our helping them, but how they can help us.
Yes.
In many
and of
ways.
course, you know, I often have to explain, especially to younger people, Bhutan may be a very small country, and the United States may be a very big and very rich country, but Bhutan's vote in the United Nations is exactly equal to that of the United States.
Absolutely.
So joining the UN gave a great deal of responsibility to Bhutan.
No, only they used to come to us
Yes.
for supporting
For support.
their.
They still
They
do,
were the
Lyonpo.
ones who
Yes.
brought us placed so many resolutions on the table of the United Nations. And sometimes it's a very critical time.
Right.
And so many of them used to come to us. You know, we have this, and can you help us, and can you support, etc. So that was one of the good experience, how to deal with these big countries. And also, I think United Nations gave us the experience of knowing many things about the international community.
Right.
And international politics, which of course in Bhutan we were absolutely unaware, cut off and isolated in those days.
But this is another thing, Lyonpo. If one thinks of how in a very few years Bhutan changed from being a completely isolated country. I always compare it to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Nobody came out and nobody went in. Bhutan was completely isolated, and in just a very few years, all these international connections in both directions started during your time.
Difficult times because being a small country and landlocked between two giants, it's not easy.
Very difficult.
It's not easy, and we are landlocked, and we need to have the free access to and from the sea. And in those days, we have no aircraft.
That's right.
So how do we get to London? How do we get to United Nations? How do we go and visit our neighbors? We have to go through India, or we have to go to Tibet and go to China and make a big, long, circular road. So we were here between two giants, but we had to play our cards so carefully and so tactfully, which our kings did. And in particular, I still remember the third king.
Well, the third king in particular, as I mentioned, in his relations with Nehru and Indira Gandhi, and then the fourth king.
And yes, and
as a young man, the way he strengthened
he came
the
from
connections.
74 onwards, the fourth king. And before that, of course, 1958, Nehru and Indira Gandhi's visit through Nathula. And I used to come through Nathula three times.
Right.
And you know, and on my third visit through Nathula during my school days in Kalimpong, on the third visit, the Chinese stopped me. The Chinese, in the first and second visit, there were no Chinese.
Then
on Jammu and across the border. But on the third visit, the Chinese soldiers were there. They stopped me. They said, "Where are you going to?" I said, "I'm going home." I said, "Where?" I said, "Bhutan." "Which part of Bhutan you come from?" I said, "Paro." "Which village?" "Which village?" I said, "Namkha, Chonamkha." "Who's the Gup?"
Really?
Can you believe?
So they were actually, it was a a question session.
Yes.
Yes. My goodness. Dear,
What is the
Yes.
name of your
Yes.
gup? He said, and that surprised me most.
Right.
So I said, gup so and so. I said, yes. Then it was very cold. Early morning, we have to cross
Yes.
Natula, and I stopped there early morning, and they gave me hot cup of tea. And that I enjoyed.
Right.
Early morning frost.
Chinese tea.
It was the milk
Yes,
tea. It was
yes,
milk tea
yes.
they gave me. So I enjoyed that milk tea. But that question is, I still remember.
Who was the gup? Yes.
And the third visit through Natula. And thereafter I stopped coming that way.
Right.
Thereafter I started coming through Pinseling.
Right.
Pinseling Road. I said, the Chinese, I don't want to go by that now, Natula. Enough is enough, I come through Pinseling. And in Pinseling, in those days, because my grandfather's successors were in charge of that portion,
of the
Pinseling portion area.
Yes.
And I had free people carrying my bag.
Right.
From village to village.
Yes, right.
I reach to one village, then another person comes, he takes my bag,
Right.
I walk, another village.
Right. But this was walking.
Walking, yes, of course.
And this again is something that we don't
Of course,
realize
the school
today. We
days,
just
the
drive down
walking,
to
yeah.
Phuntsholling in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
It was a walking business.
Walking business, yes. And enjoyed walking also, of course. My bag was carried by someone else.
So it was actually quite a pleasurable experience.
Yes.
And now, so to go from international connections to home, you spent 2 periods, I think, as Home Minister in Bhutan. Where does that fit? Was this after the United Nations?
Yes, after the United Nations, in 1986, I served twice, no?
Right, that's right, yes.
Because before I returned home, the first, of course, I opened our embassy in New Delhi.
Yes.
Then I was told to open our mission in Geneva from New York.
Right.
I did that. Our mission in Geneva. Office is they are still working from that office.
Right.
Same office.
Yes.
And thereafter, I had to go to Bangladesh as the
So,
first
Lyonpo,
ambassador.
You are a great opener.
Yeah.
You opened the UN.
I didn't open the UN, I assisted there.
Well, right, assisted in opening.
Second ambassador there, by then it was
opened the embassy in Delhi.
Delhi,
and
yes.
you were the first Bhutan ambassador to Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so
And
you are an
I received
initiator.
Sheikh Mujibur Rahman
Right.
in New York. I made my maiden speech at the Security Council
Right.
when Bangladesh tried to join the United Nations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So those are good experience and very interesting experience. But most enjoyable experience serving at the United Nations was that I was sent as the leader of the delegation of the Law of the Sea.
Of the Law of the Sea,
Law of the Sea.
which is very odd for a Bhutanese ambassador.
And very interesting for Bhutan.
Right.
And relevant for Bhutan. Can you believe?
No, I can't. Why was it relevant for Bhutan?
Because we are landlocked. Transit to and from the sea.
How? Right. Right. So I never thought
we were
about
looking for freedom of transit.
that. Free access to
Access
the sea.
to and from
Yes.
the sea.
Yes. And we have had free access through Calcutta, but what about through Bangladesh? Did we have access to the sea through Bangladesh? or
Yes,
not?
now we have
Right.
we have access through because of the law of the sea.
Right,
Law of the sea. And there is a provision.
right,
I had it 2 years.
right.
Believe it or not, from Kampala to Nairobi, Kampala during this, what is his name now? The president.
No idea.
I forgot. Idi Amin, yeah. Idi Amin.
Oh, famous Idi Amin.
I have a photograph with him there because we are landlocked countries, and
That's right.
there's one incident when we were having conference there. There was a flight from one of the neighboring countries. Somebody brought a flight, some teacher and his wife, and Idi Amin walked to the aircraft. Come out. They should not tell me. Come out. I took by the hand. And he brought them out and freed the aircraft. Then in the evening, he came to our reception. I went to him. I said, "Congratulations, Mr. President. What a job you did this morning there." "Oh, there was no problem. I have so many soldiers with him. There are only 2 of them." That's what
he was a great character, wasn't he? I mean, it is always, whether it's true or simply a myth, that when the President of France paid an official visit, he was fed human flesh. And I don't know whether that was true. No. But however, but coming back from overseas now, coming back to Bhutan, if I again recall, as Home Minister, you were very instrumental in His Majesty the Fourth King's aim to decentralize administration. And so, can you just tell us a little bit about your work in the Home Ministry?
Yes, in 1986, I came in, joined the Home Ministry as a secretary in the Home Ministry. Then in 87, I became a deputy minister. And then I became minister in 1992.
So 92.
His Majesty kindly promoted me to ministership in 1992. And yes, His Majesty was very much attached to decentralization. His first task was, as you know, in Galipur in 1982, and development from below. He wanted to reach out to the people.
Right.
And he created our National Council here, then the district administration. Till then there was no administration. District administration, district council, they used to meet, and members used to be elected or by way of consensus and by election. In 1987, His Majesty told me, he said, "We have reached out to the village. We have reached out to the village. That's where the people are. And we have to make them participate in the development. And the development is meant for the people." I was thinking, well, what is he talking about? What he wants me to do now?
A totally new concept.
What he wants me to do. So he says, no, we have to reach out to the people, decentralize. So decentralize from the Gyeok, from the district to the Gyeok. District to the Gyeok. Create a council at Gyeok level, each of the Gyeok level.
So this was the Gyeok Yaki Shokchung.
Gyeok Yaki Shokchung. So I wrote seven line guidelines for the Gyeoks. seven line Gyeok. And he said how to elect their chairman. The cup has to be the chairperson, then his assistants, then who all have to become the member.
So you created the foundations of local government in Bhutan.
Well, that's the instruction of His Majesty. So I sent this message. So Gyeok was established. Gyeok Songdo was established. And the most important thing was the development from below. development from below. When we had the fifth, I think, 5-year plan, only then I realized how important it was. He asked the people, what do you want in your village? You tell us, not what the National Assembly would say,
Right.
but what you want.
Yeah.
That's what he asked them. Then somebody got up, that's in Tagana, somebody got up and said, oh, we want some manure, chemical manure. We want some chemical manure. And another person got up, said, no, we don't need chemical manure. We don't even know how to use this. And when you use that, it burns all our crop.
Right.
And we want more and cattle. We want more cattle and
then get the manure from the cattle.
Cattle, yes.
Yes.
And we want hybrid cattle.
Right.
So it's right. Then there were some other members who got up and said, yeah, supported him. So he said, yes, you will get that. So we had to distribute cattle to the other area to them. And of course, chemical remain where it is, but those who do not like to use it, they don't have to use it. It was
so
free.
this was the beginnings of the concept of organic farming.
Yes.
Yes.
It was, yes.
You know, we think of it as new, don't we? And yet we're
the
talking
people
now about
because they are more
decades
familiar.
ago.
They knew how to use this.
Indeed.
And they gave them milk, they sustained them, and they wanted cattle and look after the cattle. And Tagana, people in Tagana, they were very fond of their cattle.
Right.
They are very good looking after their cattle in that area.
So this effort to have development from below rather than top down
because till
was
then,
very significant.
Till then, as you know, we in Bhutan they used to say from the National Assembly, we'll do this, we'll do that, etc. Whether they have consulted the people or not.
Right.
And they said, oh, our people want this. It's all from the top down. And it goes to the district. And from the district, you say, well, you do this, you do that, you do this. Not what the people want.
Right. And the concept of voting came in during this time, didn't it? Because if I recall again, it used to be one family, one vote, and then the fourth king changed it to one person over the age of 18.
Yes.
And looking back, it's always wonderful being old, Lyonpo, because you can look back.
Yes.
Looking back now, we can see that all this was in His Majesty the Fourth King's mind as gentle steps towards what we have now, which is multi-party democracy.
Absolutely. And basically his concept was to, number one, to give the people what they need.
Right.
So that was economic development, agriculture, animal husbandry, and irrigation, road wherever it is possible, development, sustainable development, something which our people can manage.
Right.
Not something beyond them, something which they can manage.
Right.
Sustainable development, what Bhutanese sustainable development. And then, as you know, in 82 he declared conservation of forest.
Right, that's right.
He attached so much importance to conservation of forest, established this national, what is that, national,
the national policy or?
No. There were so many, well, anyway.
Whatever, yes.
Whatever. He attached so much importance on forest, and he even told me, you have to be careful with the forestry people. They want to clean the forestry. In the name of cleaning the forestry, they build road, then they cut down all the trees wantonly, and we lose our forest. When you give permission, you have to be very careful, he said.
Very far-sighted.
Yes, and therefore, as the conservation of forest was one of the important developments
Right.
of Bhutan, and as you know, it is one of the pillars of gross national.
Indeed, yes.
Gross
Well,
national.
I think we are the only country which has in its constitution an environmental protection clause
Yes,
about the forestry.
yes, you have to maintain.
Yes.
I think 70% of the national forest, and then not only that, then he attached so much importance. He sent me. I was home, and he sent a letter for culture, promotion
Right,
of our
promotion
culture,
of culture, yes.
promotion of our culture and tradition. He says this is very important. Even the third king,
Indeed.
he sent a executive letter to promote and protect culture and tradition and our language. So he attached great importance on tradition, culture, and sure enough, which is important, he says, this is what we have, this is what we are. We have to conserve this, we have to protect this, and do what you can. Then we had a committee, we have a
You
council.
were in charge of a culture commission.
Yes, there was the commission. I was president of the commission, of the cultural commission. And not only that, then thereafter came the Gyok Development Council at that time.
Right.
Why? We have to have good government. Not only here, we have to have a good government where the people are.
In the village.
Where the people are, in the village, where the people are. Here we are okay, but in the village, they have to have the concept of good development, good government established. That's how the gross national
happiness.
and the concept of 5 pillars of gross national happiness came in.
Yes.
And His Majesty attached so much importance to that. And of course, late Lyonpo Dago Tshering worked very, very hard on that, because
He became planning.
Yes, he was chairman of the planning commission.
So, looking back, Lyonpo, what a life to look back on.
Yeah.
If you think back to your childhood, no roads, no telephones, no anything, no travel,
Yeah.
to now sitting here in your lovely garden overlooking Simtokadzong, reflecting on many, many decades of service to the country, not only within the country, but also in terms of international relations too. And that allows me to mention, am I right in thinking in 2021 you had an honor from the government of Japan
Yes.
in the form of a rather splendid medal to recognize all you had done for Bhutan-Japan relations. And I've actually got it here. It's in a beautiful box. May I ask you to show everybody the medal that Japan gave you?
I think I received that on behalf of the people of Bhutan.
Right.
Because I felt I've contributed very little in this.
Well.
But I accepted this with humility.
Yes.
And because my contact with as a government servant,
Yes.
I was a chief of protocol, I was liaison officer. And in the 1961, before Tashi Nishioka came in, we were in the Colombo plan. And through Colombo plan, Tashi Nishioka came in. And I met number of Japanese delegation. And before that, there were some delegation to study our Chuka hydropower project.
Right.
And I used to be liaison officer.
Right.
I looked after them. And thereafter, they are up there at beyond, what is it, up there, there's another project, the Harder Power project
Right.
up there, project, they came to study, and I helped them also.
Right.
Then their professors came, their delegation. Each time they came, used to come and see me, and I used to go and help them
Right.
in many ways.
So do let us have a look at the
So
medal in
maybe
that
because
lovely
of
box.
those small contributions which I made, they recognize
the
that.
catch at the end there.
And
Can
this
we
is
show
what they
the
call,
camera how beautiful they are?
yeah, this is what they call the,
So there's the ribbon and medal. Wonderful. So very, very well deserved. But what a there is hardly a job that Lyonpo has not done. So all the way from diplomacy to development,
yes, of
to
course.
culture, to home affairs, which of course is incredibly important. And the very last thing, can I ask you one question? I get different answers to this question, but Lyonpo may have a definitive answer. Exactly when and where did His Majesty the Fourth King produce the phrase gross national happiness?
I think he had that on his mind all along.
Yes, on the mind. Yes.
Yes, because during the third king's time, what the third king wanted to do was reach out to the people.
Right.
Therefore, if you look at the planning development programs in the first 5-year and the second 5-year plan, they were all people related. All that something to do with the people, which
Right.
the people need,
Right.
whether in terms of agriculture, animal husbandry, water supply. We used to work very hard on supply, and small-scale industries, weaving, etc. We used to attach great importance. So I think His Majesty used to tour, as you know,
Yes.
even in his young days, in every part of the village, every part of the country. And he studied and he understood what the people need and how to build the country
Right.
in one piece. Conservation, the sustainable development, economic development, above all. Conservation of forest,
Yes.
protection and promotion of culture and tradition, and good, above all, good governance.
Good governance. Yes. Yes.
So he came out this gross national happiness. We have to have gross national. The gross national product is not very important for us. And sure enough, we could not have moved the gross national product in any way.
That's right.
But
yes.
our people, he said, our people, if people are healthy and able, there will be gross national product. If people are not healthy and able, where is the gross national product?
Right.
So gross national, that's how
Right.
we became the development from below. That's why the people are important.
Which is
So democracy was very much deep in his heart.
That's right.
To serve the people, and he wanted all of us to serve the people in the way we keep.
And I always felt, from when I first came here, I always felt that there was indeed this concept of the king is the servant of the people. That was always something which I somehow felt. And compared with other monarchies, that might not always have been so obvious in other monarchies. And so I think we have been incredibly fortunate. But Lyonpo, your own contribution over more than half a century to Bhutan has been invaluable. Thank you so much for your time to talk to us, and wish you many, many more years so that you can see the next half century of Bhutan as well. Thank you very much indeed for all you've done for Bhutan and for sparing time to give us a little outline of your memories of the past. Thank you.
Thank you. These are some of the things which I could still remember.
Yes.